The Fellowship of Guelphissauga continues, with the mayor coming home to an outbreak of lunacy. The housing cost crisis was declared an outbreak as the looming 8.52% tax increase was used as an excuse for landlords to increase their rent next year. The minimum wage earners, who already couldn't afford to live in the Shire, settled in for the winter in the encampments downtown. Meanwhile, the mayor dodged any responsibility due to climate change, and Dominique of O'Rourke was inspired to go red. But her career plans might fall short with all the lunacy collapsing the public sector. Can Carly of Klassen and the Elder Elves do anything about the housing cost crisis? And will Dominique of O'Rourke go red? The housing cost crisis worsened this week as more people joined the downtown encampment from the 8.52% residential tax increase. It caused an inflationary outbreak in the Shire's housing market as the orchid landlords used the tax as an excuse to increase next year's rent. The outbreak caught the attention of Jeff of Wilson, the president of Novometrics. Novometrics is a Pushlands-based, for-profit enterprise that generates revenue through government and corporate grants while conducting research on important social issues. They've established a leadership team to look into the causes of the housing cost crisis from a community level. The team includes social workers, epidemiologists, downtown business representatives, and one or two homeless people. We wanted to show that you can bring an entire community together as a network to solve wicked problems, said Wilson about the team being tasked with identifying the root causes of the housing cost crisis and tackling them head on. With the Lord of the Liberals opening the floodgates for immigrant voters on the demand side, and the orchid landlords monopolizing the supply side, this community-based team will investigate the issue of supply-side policies not working in a market failure. We're planning to use outbreak response methodology to manage the outbreak of homelessness. This is perfect for the outbreak response, said Wilson, who has doctorates in pathology and epidemiology, but not economics. Meanwhile, in the Council of Elders chambers, the mayor and his orchid friends continue to push their quantity-based solution to the housing cost crisis. This time, the property developer orcs at Home Opportunities took their turn at breaking the rule of the ward. In the heart of Guelphissauga on Clare Road, they're proposing to build more than 1,000 housing units across two 12 to 20-story apartment buildings and 247 townhouses. Our intention is to try to fulfill Guelph's need for affordable housing. We're trying to help people, said Mike of Labe, the founder of Home Opportunities. His company plans to help with down payments and arranging loans that don't need to be repaid until the property is resold. Your carrying costs are half the cost of the home, he said. That's what allows us to reach as low as $35,000 income for some of the houses. But the Elder Elves were weary of the property developer's sales pitch. How could Home Opportunities suddenly have the ability to build hundreds of affordable housing units when other developers could not? It sounded too good to be true. What trick were they playing? The Elder Elves discovered what trick the orcs were playing in the unit size details hidden deep within the proposal. The property developers were casting a shrinkflation spell to trick the elders into believing their housing units were affordable. By shrinking apartment sizes down to 500 square feet, or the same size as the shack in Rodrigo of Galler's backyard, these super tiny shoebox apartments were now considered affordable according to their market-based measure. This was another example of their flawed quantity-based solution to the housing cost crisis. If these units were actually affordable, then we would see regular sized apartments at affordable prices instead of shoebox sized units. Back at the Shire's airport, the mayor returned home from his climate change vacay conference in Dubai. He was Middle Eastern inspired by the 100-story buildings, no parking minimums, and the lobster. However, he laid low as he called a dog Uber home. The mayor was avoiding the recommendations in the National Citizens Inquiry's final report for institutions to face criminal and civil penalties for their actions. The RCMP was already investigating both the Big Blue Orc and the Lord of the Liberals, and the mayor didn't want any trouble coming his way. If only the mayor had run into the Lord of the Liberals at the airport, like at another vacay conference, then he could have asked him for advice. The Lord of the Liberals was facing a public inquiry into foreign interference in federal electoral processes and democratic institution, and yet he's not worried about it. Somehow, he got the Governor General to assign him as the minister overseeing the investigation into himself. The mayor wanted to know how to do that trick in case he faced any investigations, similar to the mayor of Chestermere, Alberta. The mayor of Chestermere, along with its chief accountability officer and other elected officials, were fired by the Corporation of Alberta for failing to adhere to the directives in their municipal inspection. The Shire's mayor laid low since he didn't want that happening to him too. He cleared his meeting schedule except for one meeting at the Ivory Tower with the president of Conestoga College. The president was meeting with the mayor to discuss the new Conestoga campus being built downtown and the housing options for its hundreds of students. The mayor tried to convince him that there was plenty of space in the encampments downtown, under the Hanlon Bridge, and in Riverside Park. After the serious part of the meeting, they joked about all the lunacy going on at other universities and colleges. Funded by the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion, several universities are facing tough financial constraints. Conestoga College, like other places, are using their ridiculous tuition fees collected from international students to fill the gap, but even they are facing challenges. Conestoga's president explained to the mayor how his college had to change their graduation ceremony format to match the needs of their international students. They used to order their college graduates by last name, but now they have to go by first name, since 90% of their students have the last name Singh. The mayor laughed and headed back to his office after the meeting. On the way there, he passed Dominique of O'Rourke in the hallway, and she welcomed him back from his vacay conference. Sporting a new red jacket, the mayor noticed something was different with O'Rourke, but he couldn't figure out what it was. He returned to his office to ponder it and order some takeout from the dining district for lunch. By the time his lunch arrived 30 minutes later, he had it figured out. The mayor eventually realized that O'Rourke didn't look like April O'Neil like she normally does, since she was wearing a red jacket instead of a yellow one. She switched to a red jacket to declare her intentions to run for Lloyd of the Longfield spot on the Liberal Party as he retires in glory as the biggest tool in town. But O'Rourke faces a tough decision in a red jacket, as going red does come with a raise, but also comes with a loss of freedom. She might have to give up her freedom to walk in public, like other Liberal Party members experience on a daily basis. Both the Lord of the Liberals and Christia Freeland can't walk in public anymore without a security escort. Mike of the Shriners also experienced that loss of freedom when he was tempted to go red a while back, and he couldn't skate in public one weekend. Can Carly of Klassen and the Elder Elves do anything about the housing cost crisis? And will Dominique of O'Rourke go red? Stay tuned here to see. This video is brought to you by brighttutoring.ca. Don't let school get in the way of your education. Book a tutoring session today at brighttutoring.ca.